Hello, environmental science scholars. In today's class, we're going to be creating a visual representation of a keystone species of your choice. We're also going to be learning about how to use the magnetic lasso, wield the brush tool, but first what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the move tool, and we're going to learn about why having auto select checked is so important. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck auto select. I've got the move tool, and what I know is that when we shift our layers palette over to this pretty cool trophic pyramid that we created last week, I'm clicking on the grasshopper, I'm clicking on the cactus, the scorpion, but nothing is changing. So to figure out which layer that we need to go to, we're gonna have to sort through, and this can be a little bit tedious. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that auto select layer is checked, right? And so now what I know is that when I click on grasshopper, it jumps. When I click on cactus, it automatically jumps to the appropriate layer. So I'm going to click on Brandon. Boom, it's right on Brandon. I'm going to click on this scorpion once again. Cactus, pretty nifty. We always want auto select checked. That's going to be the first thing that we do today. So what we're going to be learning how to do first is figure out how to create selections using the magnetic selection tool. So what I'm going to do right now is I can see that I've got a number of images open in Adobe Photoshop, and they're tabbed at the top. So it's not like they're hidden, they're just sort of layered or staggered right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close out this by checking this little X. I'm not going to save it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to figure out what species that we're going to be using for today's Keystone species project. And for this example, I'm going to get inspiration from this diagram, and I see that we've got tiger sharks, and we've got dugongs and green sea turtles and seagrass, and we know that the tiger shark feeds on dugongs and green sea turtles, right? There's like a staple of the tiger shark diet, and that because of this, this limits overgrazing of the seagrass, and we know that this is one of the reasons why tiger shark is the keystone species. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do a little image search for tiger shark and dugongs and bottlenose dolphins and greasy turtles and seagrass. And this is what you need to do when you find an image that you want to include. So I'm going to click right here, and actually I like this one a little bit better. We're going to not save this. Instead, we're going to right click, and then we're going to copy image. We're going to go to Photoshop. We're going to go to File, New. We're going to press OK, and then press Command V to paste. We're going to do that a few more times. So this is the tiger shark. We're going to get this dugong, and I like this one. So we're going to left click it open. We're going to right click. We're going to go to Copy Image. Let's go back to Photoshop. We're then going to click on File, New. We're going to press OK. We're going to press Command V. Beautiful. And we're going to keep copying and pasting these images into Photoshop. Let's see. That's a cool one right there. So again, we're going to right click. We're going to copy image. We're going to go to Photoshop. We're going to go to File, New. We're going to press OK, Command V. And let's get one more green sea turtle. Sure, this one's that's pretty majestic. We're going to right click, copy. We're going to go to Photoshop, File, New. I'm going to press OK, and we're going to press Command V. And so now I know that we've got all these images tabbed at the top. And this is going to be the canvas. This is our blank page. It says blank keystone species at the top. We're going to start with the tiger shark. How do we get this tiger shark extracted from the environment? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the magnetic lasso, and it's actually two tools down from the move tool. And what we're going to do, because these tools are all context sensitive, we're going to right click, and then we're going to open up the magnetic lasso tool. And so again, we're going to right click on that, press left click on the magnetic lasso. It should look like this. And when we left click just once along the edge, and then we're dragging the mouse, I'm not pressing anything. What's happening is it's creating a selection because it's clinging to high contrast objects, right? So there's a lot of contrast between this sort of white of this shark's belly and the blue of the water. And I can actually left click and put down what we're going to call a bounding box. And I'm going along the edge. And this is a pretty cool keystone species. Little click. And when we get back to where we started, that's our very first box, right? I'm going to left click again. And what I can see is that there's all these little ants running along the perimeter. I can see that it's selected. So now what we're going to do is we're going to press Command C. We're going to go to the blank keystone. We're going to press Command V. Boom, we've got our tiger shark, and we can move it around because we're using the move tool. And because we now got our shark and we don't need it anymore, I'm going to close this out. I'm not even going to save. We're straight. All right, so let's get this animal. We're going to select the magnetic lasso. I'm going to click once, and I'm very quickly going along the edge. And you guys are going to do a better job than I am. You're going to be a little bit more precise. I'm precise. I'm getting to the beginning. First box, made a selection. I'm going to press Command C, Command V. Beautiful. If we want to increase the size, we know we can press Command T. We're going to hold Shift, grab the corner. That looks cool right there, and I'll put that right there. I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hold on to this, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to use the magnetic lasso. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to starting at the fin. I'm going to go along the edge, going all the way around. This is fun. Command C, Command V, and then what do we have left? We've got this cool turtle. All right. So you know what I'll do? I'll make the example here. All right. So I'm going to teach you a new technique, and I wasn't initially thinking I was going to share with you guys, but looking at your survey yesterday, I'm super inspired by how hard you guys are willing to work in this class. So what I'm going to do is I'm not making the best selection, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm going to seal this up. I'm going to press Command C, Command V, and when we zoom in, and we can zoom in a couple different ways, including holding Command and pressing plus minus. What I know is that this turtle, I didn't do a great job. I didn't do an amazing job getting all the fins and even the head. So what I'm going to do is you could either simply press delete, or what we can do is take this layer, this is layer 4, and I'm going to drag it to the garbage can. Boom, it's gone. And I'm going to return to here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. How do we get these areas that we missed before? Well, what we can do is if we use the magnetic lasso, we've got a number of options at the top. So here, if we leave the mouse for a second, it says new selection. But what we're going to do is we're going to add to this selection. And how do we add to this selection? Well, what I know is if I click right here, we simply add it to this selection. If we wanted to subtract from the selection, I can go like this, and we're actually just sort of carving away, but we want to add to this turtle, and I'm simply going along the edges of where I missed before. And for like today's project, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you'll notice I'm getting all these different areas that I missed before. Beautiful. So we now know how the add to and subtract from selection component works. I'll press Command C. This is a little bit better. Command V. Not perfect, but you guys are going to do a much better job. Now, couple things. If you guys make a mistake, all right, so let's say you wanted to do this selection over. How do we deselect? To do that, you're going to press Command D. Okay, and if we're using the magnetic lasso, right, and let's say that your hand goes off a little bit and it goes out here, and you want to go back a few bounding boxes, if you press the delete button on your keyboard, what's going to happen is it's going to go back. And if you'll see that if you mess up totally and it goes crazy, if you want to start over, simply press escape and you're back at square one. So again, if you go like this and we want to go back just a few, you're going to press delete on the keyboard, and you're on your way to making a beautiful selection. And to deselect, we're going to press Command D. Beautiful. All right, so here we are. We've got our selection. We've got our selections. We've got our layers. I'm going to shift this around a little bit. Now, how do we create those cool lines that we saw in a few of those examples, namely right here, as well as on Google, something maybe that looks a little bit like this? How do we create straight lines? What we can do is in Photoshop, what we're going to want to do is we're going to create a new layer by pressing Command Shift N and then Enter. Command Shift N creates a new layer. That's a shortcut. Alternatively, you can click on this little tab right here to the right of the garbage can. We've got a new layer, and if you press B, the letter B on your keyboard, that's going to pull up the paintbrush. Otherwise, you could find it right here. It looks like a little brush. It's pretty easy to find. And you can then left click and just sort of go like this. If you wanted to change the size of your brush, what we can do is we can right click, and there we can see we can change the hardness. Although for today's assignment, you want to simply keep it at 100%. We can make it 70 pixels, but that's way too big. We could drop it down to 1, but you can barely see that. So I would recommend maybe something, let's try 15. I think 15 would be good for today. And in fact, if you want another shortcut, if you actually click once and hold shift, we can create straight lines. So I'm going to hold shift, straight lines. I'm going to click once, I'm going to hold shift. That's another straight line. Tremendous. So if you wanted to produce something that maybe looks a little bit like this, you're going to include a little fact using the text tool. If you wanted to get abstract, you could do that. And if you wanted to produce something that looks a little bit like this using your previously acquired Photoshop skills, I would certainly encourage that. If you have any questions, let me know. You're going to save this as a JPEG. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good luck.